Yeah, Zulie's here.
If it's love you're after, give it away. So laughter, give it away. Don't keep your blessings in a bottle on the shelf. A gift will grow when it is shared with someone else. Now that you found it, give it away. You'll be astounded, give it away. The sun shines from above for everyone to hear. When something comes your way, show the world you care. Give it away. Give it away. A little faith won't grow no matter what you say. But if you give it, will be given back to you. Press down, shake it together, running over. Press down, shake it together, running over. Press down, shake it together. If you need more money, give it away. Though it may sound funny, give it away. If you think there is something missing in your life, open your heart and give this proven love a try. Give it away. Shake it together, running over, press down. Stick it together, running over, press down. Running over, press down. Shake it together, give it away.
Yay, us. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Unity of Charlotte. My name's Marty Bacher, and it's my privilege to welcome you here today. Tiff, would you bring this monitor down just a little bit? It's looping back. Thank you. So, welcome. You know, we are here to realize the presence of the divine. Now, you don't have to come here to realize the presence of the divine. You can do that anywhere because we believe in a God that is everywhere present and always available. So we come together to remind ourselves and each other of this very simple truth. And so I'm grateful that we're a community that is celebrating life, that is allowing the divine to work through us individually and collectively. We're here to love and support and serve each other as we expand and grow through this thing called life. So I am grateful you're here. If you're visiting us for the first time, I just want to say welcome. We're grateful to have you here. We hope you are open your heart and your mind to the presence of intelligence and love that's available, and we're glad that you joined us. If you didn't receive one, we'd love to make sure that you get a guest packet, and we'd like to find out more about you as well. So thank you for being here. Also want to tell you after the service, first Sunday of the month, we have our Potluck Sunday. You're welcome to join us and dine with us, and coffee and all that good stuff. So thank you for being here. Also want to mention we do have a ministry of prayer that is available for your spiritual support. You can find prayer request cards in the lobby, and also you can do that online at unityofcharlotte.org. So we're grateful you're here. We're grateful to be on this journey with you. Okay, so a few things going on in the world. This Thursday night, we have John Mundy, thank you, and Scott Grace says it right on the screen. I should just read that, right? And for those of you, Course in Miracles kids, you will be familiar with John Mundy. He's been a wonderful speaker and writer for many, many years. And so we happened to be able to have them while they're going to be in town come. So wonderful opportunity. If you go online, you can purchase tickets in advance. You can pay at the door. Wonderful opportunity. And Jim, was Jim wonderful last week or what? Yes. So thank you for providing your love and wisdom, and thank you for helping us set this up. This month we have all kinds of wonderful guests for us. Next Sunday, our dear friend Reverend Sally will be here as a speaker, and we're in our Dare to Prosper moment, and so she brings insight and wisdom and joy and love to the community, and so we're grateful to have her here. The following Sunday, John Stringer will be here providing special music, and we always love to have him. He'll also be available for private sessions if you're interested in such a thing afterwards. And then on the 27th, very excited to have Greg Lavoie here. Greg is a best-selling author. His book, Callings, was really an instrumental book for me at one point in finding this passion and finding what was the calling of my life. So he'll be here. He'll be guest speaking. I'll be here, but he'll be guest speaking, and then he's doing a wonderful workshop in the afternoon. We'd invite you to pre-register. We'll give you a little discount, and then I'll know if I should make you lunch or not. But we'll throw in lunch. It'll be a fun thing. I'm excited to have him here. Very grateful. So thank you for being here. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for what you bring forward. So let's begin the inward journey. As we simply breathe into this moment, giving thanks for the opportunity to be together in the living Spirit, to remember the truth of who we are, to know that we are divine in origin, that this one life, this one power, this one presence that we call God is indeed everywhere present, always available. So we open our hearts in this moment to experience divine love, absolute, unconditional love, and our minds to be receptive to divine wisdom, to divine guidance. We open ourselves to remember who we are. I am so very grateful. I'm so very grateful to be here, to have this time in this place in which we can deepen in our experience of the divine through the practice of these spiritual principles and through the practice of learning to love one another more fully. And so I give thanks for the many hands and the many hearts that come together every Sunday, every day of the week to provide this thing that we call Unity of Charlotte, this beautiful church. I'm grateful that we continue to grow and to serve and to love one another. And I'm grateful for this time. So we give thanks for this day. We know that it unfolds joyously, lovingly, that which needs to be said is said, and that which needs to be heard is heard, and that it is good, and indeed very good. So for all of these blessings and so many more, I'm simply giving thanks and allowing it to be so, as together we say, and so it is. Amen. We got him to clap. You think we can get him to stand? Yeah. Okay. There you go.
me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need.
You can remain standing. We're going to affirm together. So each month we choose a new affirmation that we work with through the month. And so I would invite you to speak these words with power and clarity and conviction. So, together. Today, I courageously choose to prosper. I lovingly and gently release the past. I forgive myself and others. I joyously participate in the divine flow. Today, I courageously choose to prosper. Thank you. So I would invite you to take a deep breath. I know you came in here fully aware that we're going to talk about money. And some of you have stopped breathing deeply merely because of that fact. You don't have to raise your hand. I can see by your blue face who you are. So, no, right? Which I love. I always love to come to this because part of what I appreciate about this teaching is we just get to look at all the areas of our life and what we believe and what we want to shift and what we want to keep, and so it's wonderful. So a couple of prayers of prosperity for our inspiration this morning. One is called the Prosperity Prayer. Don't know its origin, but I think it's beautiful. Oh, I'm going to make this easy on myself and put on my other eyes. Oh, it's amazing. I was looking through a glass darkly, and all of a sudden, now I see. It says, "O great Creator, I prosper through you, drawing my abundance from your infinite stores. You know my needs, and you provide for them. You know my dreams, and you bring me their fulfillment. I rely on you as my source. You are the rock on which I build my life. I trust you to supply me with all things necessary to my happiness. You are my security. I run to you always. Guard and guide me. Amen." And then famous Psalm 23, but this translation is from Stephen Mitchell, which is probably my favorite, in which it says to us, "The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything that I need. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me on the paths of righteousness, so that I may serve her with love. And though I walk through the darkest valley, or stand in the valley of death, I am not afraid, for I know you are always with me. You spread a table before me, even in times of great pain. You feast me with your abundance and honor me like a queen, anointing my head with sweet oil, filling my cup to the brim. Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in God's radiance forever and ever." So today, as we join together, it is in the remembrance that the divine is the source and the store of our abundance. The master teacher said that before you ask, I will answer. And so we open to know the truth, to seek first the spiritual dimension of wholeness and joy and love and abundance, and then to allow that to be expressed and revealed in our life and through our living. Indeed, we are grateful. So we bless each person here and those not here. We give thanks and allow it to be so. And so it is. Amen. So, We have a young lady with us today who's awesome in so many ways, not the least of which this amazing instrument that God gave her through her voice. Susan Caney.
Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. You will do amazing things with the choice each new day brings, and with every step you take. Bless the progress that you make. The reason you live is there in every gift you give. Love your life, love your dreams. You will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, you will do amazing things. Oh, the places you will go and the people you will know. Don't worry when or where or how. You don't need to know that now. You're on the right track. No need to look ahead or back. Just enjoy what this day brings. You will do amazing things. You don't have to work it out. Just stay in the here and now. Let your mind rest for a little while. Sometimes deepest answers come when you're out there having fun. So close your eyes, take a breath and smile. Amazing, you will do amazing things. Now sing with me, make this a we. Amazing, amazing, we will do amazing things. Now put your hands over your heart and sing I. Amazing, amazing, I will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, I will do amazing things. Amazing, amazing, amazing things. You will do amazing things.
Thank you for receiving the love. You are learning, girl.
Beautiful. What's awesome, one of the many awesome things about what I get to do is to watch people grow into their power. And when Susan, we first talked to her about singing, she was like, okay, but can I just do it from another room? It's like, no, you have to go on stage. You have to let people see you, because it's a very vulnerable thing to be, you know. And so I love watching you grow into your fullness, sharing your gift with us. Yeah. The song that we just sang is written by a friend of mine, Michael Gott, who happens to be now the senior minister at Unity of Houston after Howard Caesar retired after all those years. And so Michael and I go way back to when we both had dark hair, actually. So, so he tells the story a little differently than I tell the story, but nonetheless, it's still a great story. So sometime when we have him here, he can tell his own version. But when he says, you know, so here I am playing in a gay bar in Dallas, Texas, and some guy walks in at the end of the set, throws some money in my tip jar and says, you need to come sing at my church. And he's like, do you know where you are? And so that began his journey. He came and sang and found himself and found his calling, found his vocation, has just been a remarkable presence in New Thought and in the world. And so I love to tell that story, one, because it's a great setup. A minister walks into a gay bar, you know, that's just got to be good. But, you know, I saw in him something I don't think he saw in himself yet. And he had grown up in a very religious, I think he went to Oral Roberts or something, you know, so he had steeped in church, but also was looking at how do I live something that feels more like what's in my heart. And so he found it. And so I'm so grateful to have participated in whatever weird little way. You know, we don't always know how we participate in other people's lives. And so I always like to say I'm sort of like the Kevin Bacon of New Thought. You know, anybody that's been around for a while, you can kind of trace back to me one way or another. So, but as I think about that moment of just seeing something and being willing to invite something more to be expressed, I didn't have a grand plan. I just knew he was amazing, had a heart of gold, and wanted him to come share his heart. And that began and launched a journey for him. My journey has been always about this understanding, deepening in my awareness of the nature of the divine. And what does it mean to live these principles? And living these principles is different from knowing these principles. Have you noticed? Sometimes I call them metaphysicians from the head up. They kind of understand, they can quote, they can, give you all the information, but there's a journey to the heart. It's one thing to say, I believe in God. It's one thing to say, I know God. I know the divine as my life and being. And therein is the journey. So as we're moving into this period, we're naming our theme for this month and for our commitment program around the courage to prosper. And courage is, as I often refers to the heart. It's that ability to open ourselves to a wisdom that is within us. It comes from, the root is the heart or the seat of emotions in Latin. And so as we're facing the journey, we have to evolve to a place that we truly are living from that place. Not just intellectually knowing, but knowing. In the Gospel of Thomas, one of the Gnostic Gospels, it says, when you know yourself, then you will be known, and you will understand that you are children of the living Father, I would say God. But if you do not know yourselves, then you dwell in poverty, and you are poverty. He goes on to write, blessed are they who find the one within their own being. Blessed are they who find the one in their own being. So often we go in search of something. It's part of the hero's journey. It's part of the ongoing journey. We go in search of something very often to find out that that which we were seeking, we had all along. But through the journey, we discover that. So as we're looking at this idea of to prosper, to increase, to allow something, it's a wonderful thing to realize that we are causing to succeed and rendering happy. That's what the word prosper means. Causing to succeed or rendering happy. And so as we're allowing that to happen through us, as we're remembering the truth, we often find that the old falls away in order for the new to come forward. I often find myself wanting to have what I want without letting go of what I don't want. And after 30 years of practice, it's easier, but I still find myself sometimes doing that. Like, I really want to grow, I really want to change, I really want to evolve. I just don't want to be uncomfortable in the process. I'd like the easy version. Those of us who've been on this spiritual journey know that growth comes through discomfort. And when we become aware of that that's simply a part of a process, then we can ease into it. We can breathe through it. As we're giving birth to something new, we're learning to breathe more deeply into the awareness of who we are, that something is trying to emerge through us. What I have noticed is that most of us have some story around money. You notice that? Some of us married partners who had a different story. And the realization is we don't carry that story front of mind, we carry it in our subconscious. I grew up in a family that did not talk about money. You don't talk about it. Nobody posted the rules on the wall, but you figure out what the rules of your family are, right? Now, Dad was a businessman, so he was all about leveraging and interest rates and all that kind of stuff. And Mom was just this sweet person that would give you everything. So it became kind of a confusing message for me to internalize of, if you go to Mom to borrow $5 to get gas, back when you could get gas for $5, long time ago, she'd say, oh, well, here's 10 and take the car, Dad would go, okay, well, what kind of interest rate should we do? And what kind of, so, and I now know they were all both trying to teach lessons, but since we didn't have the conversation about the thing, it was confusing. You can only imagine we always went to Mom first. Easy mark, So I say that because then part of my journey was then to figure out, okay, what do I believe and how do I get to believe this and where did this come from? And what I notice in the world in which we live, very often we operate from a place that says when the thing happens, then I will experience what I want. As we're working through our power intention groups, we're going back to that. What is my intention? And then how do I move that into the world? How do I move that into action? Whereas the world would say, get into action and then you will have an experience. Buy this new car and you will experience yourself as a sexy, powerful person. Because look, it's sleek, and if you're driving in it, you must be sleek, right? And part of what I've discovered is that the car payments last a lot longer than the new car feeling, right? And so it's never about the thing. And yet we are conditioned in our world to hear that. So I hear sometimes people say, well, when I get to this point in my life, then, I can't tell you how many conversations I've had over the last 30 years of people say, when I win the lottery, you'll have nothing to worry about. And I'm like, well, hurry up. I'm not getting any younger, right? Right? And again, it's kind of a mentality that when this thing happens, then that thing will happen. It's almost as if we say, once I experience God, then I'm going to start praying and meditating. Right? When I get the outer experience, then we are mistakenly believing that we have a different inner experience. And we would say, it all begins within yourself. As the Gospel of Thomas wrote, as Jesus was teaching, as the great spiritual writers have taught us, that there is a power and a presence and a being that is always providing. And that is our source. That is our supply. Now then it has infinite possibilities through which it can express itself. I was chatting with a friend recently, a minister friend, and I said, I've never been in the church that had a bunch of money and said we got it all handled. Our only problem is we have too much money, we don't know what to do with all. I've not ever had the privilege of running that church. I'm open, Most of my ministry is doing things that don't make any sense from one point of view. Most of my experience has been that if you bring a group of people together around a divine idea and you hold the vision together and collectively, then all of the other things flow from that. And so everything flows from mind. When we begin to understand that, it's easier to realize that the sources shift. You see, if we've identified ourselves with our job and we lose our job, we're in trouble. It's like, oh my God, I'm devastated. I lost my job. If we identify ourselves in a position or in a relationship, I'm a mom. Kids grow up, they move away. Now who am I? Right? It's when we identify with the outer, and then it changes, because guess what? It always changes. Ever heard that? This too shall pass? Good, good, good. This will pass. Bad, bad, bad. This will pass. There is a flow to life. And so as spiritual beings, we're learning to identify and to ground ourselves in spiritual principle, in spiritual awareness, with that understanding that when one source dries up, a new source comes forward, because we do not limit the divine. We have a conversation over and over and over around, I always admire and appreciate our board of trustees, because they're these sweet, loving people who think, oh, I'd love to serve the church. And then they get in the boardroom and go, well, they're looking at data and stuff. And we have to keep always remembering that we're here in a consciousness of spiritual abundance, even as we pay attention to the facts. And sometimes the facts don't completely match the consciousness. But Jesus taught us something, and he said to us, the truth shall set you free. Not the facts. I've never met a fact that set me free, right? But that is not to say we deny. It's to bring that consciousness of spiritual to the physical, as opposed to thinking that the physical will somehow change the spiritual. I've had a privilege of meeting some very, very wealthy people over my lifetime. I mean, we're talking big money. And what I've noticed is some of them are jerks, and some of them are amazing, just like the rest of the population, right? I've met some people that were poor that were jerks, and some that were amazing, right? So it's not this thing. We often like to tell stories about rich people and all that. That serves no one, by the way. And one of the things I experienced, there was I don't know if you've ever heard of a little company called Menon, by Menon. Well, the Menons are two of the most lovely people in the world, just sweet and conscious. And I really got to experience that. We'd done an event for her, and she'd always come in afterwards, come have a drink, come have a glass of wine before you go, blah, blah, blah. Just the sweetest, most loving, most nurturing, kind person. Her money didn't change who she was. And so that's what, I think it was Will Smith that said, all money does is amplify who you are. If you're operating at one level, then if you have more, you can operate at a higher level from there. So we witness in the world some very, very rich people who are not rich in heart. And we see the Bill Gates and Melinda Gateses of the world who are really rich and are using that wealth as power to change the world. Susie Orman talks about in her book, or in several of her books. I love Susie Orman, by the way. She's fabulous. But she always has this kind of simple principle, which is people first, then money, then things. So you always put people first. Then you make financial decisions, and then you acquire the things of the world. In her she says 5 principles of laws of money, she calls them. And basically, what she's saying is first look at our consciousness. I've been working with a group, we're all working with T. Harv Eker, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, which is just, I've done it before, but kind of at a new level. You know how sometimes they rewrite books when you're not looking, and all of a sudden they put all this new information that was clearly not there before. And just that whole idea of how our thoughts lead to our action. And so often, if we go into an investment strategy out of fear, guess what we create? If we go into it, a few years ago, I was invited to start a new church, and which is my nice way of saying I got fired from one church and had an opportunity to start something else. And what we did when we started, a bunch of people came to us like, wait, we got to do something. I said, let's start something. I said, before we do anything, we must clear whatever needs to be cleared. We must forgive what needs to be forgiven. And we must have a clear vision of love, because I will not start anything other than something out of that place. And so Easter Sunday, we had... we set a date. We went to a hotel. So I don't know. 100 people showed up. Now, we had already accumulated $1,300 to launch this grand adventure. So we'll get through the first service, But 100 people showed up. And 20 kids, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, we're creating a thing. And so I had the wisdom at that point in my journey, which was a painful journey, but a wonderful journey, because that's how it works, to realize that it is not what we have, it is not what we do, it is who we are. And that we collectively had to reach to a place of vision, of understanding, of being clear on what it was we were putting into the world. And until we were there was no point in starting something else. And we did, and that church has gone on for 25 years. So I say this only to say I've had a lot of practice in this. Trust me, doing church makes no sense. It is not for the faint of heart, is it, kids, right? It's a really wonderful thing, but it's also, and especially in our times in which we're living, where things are changing. Everything's changing. But I still believe that we're here for a purpose. I still believe that we are here to touch and enhance lives. And as I look around in Charlotte in particular, I think there's a huge need for a vibrant, thriving, new thought spiritual community. They tell me that 65 people a day are moving to Charlotte. Isn't that amazing? And so I get up in the morning and remind myself we're here to serve the divine. We're here to serve each other. And we keep doing what we do because that's what we're called to do. We are in a time, my friends, it's an exciting time. If it doesn't just scare the heck out of you, and right? I mean, it's an exciting time. It's a paradigm shift. You can see it, you can feel it. That in some ways we're trying to hold on to old ways of being. And yet some new consciousness needs to emerge, is trying to emerge. We are faced with immense challenges as a human race. We have a planet that needs to be loved and nurtured and cared for. We have relationships that need to be healed at all different levels. And so what I know is the way we heal that is by doing our own healing work. I always quote Reverend Ike when he said, the best thing you can do for poor people is not be one of them. That's the best thing. That's the first thing. I would say the best thing you can do to create peace in the world is not be one of the people who's not creating peace. The best thing you could, right? You just fill in the blank. Don't be contributing to the problem. Be part of the solution. And the solution comes from knowing who we are. Knowing that our origin is in the divine nature. Now, we make up stories, beliefs, whatever we want to call them. I had all kinds of weird beliefs that I had formed as a child that played out in my later life. And I kept thinking, when I believed in the old model that the thing provides the experience, I kept trying to change the things. Places to live, cars to drive, relationship, all of that, because I'd get into a new relationship and they hadn't got the message that their job was to make me happy. And then I was disappointed. So I had to go find somebody new because, it's what you do. Until you figure it out, right? And then I figured out that right where I am, all things flow from. And that's when we talk about this law of attraction, is the idea that when we expand, if we have the courage to be more, which is kind of a misnomer because we already are, but to accept more, to acknowledge more, to really identify ourselves as divine beings, and then to live from that place, then we trust this divine intelligence that knows how to bring things together and circumstances together to unfold. A few years ago, I was in a place of darkness and saying, "What's next, God?" And through the most miraculous series of events, I ended up in a church that I'm not even ordained in a city I only visited twice, in an area that I've never lived in. And yet what I know day in, day out is it is mine to do. And so I keep doing it. Right? Because I've surrendered my personal will to something greater. When we say to God, and we mean it, use me, get ready. Get ready. I sometimes joke about, I go to God and I pray, God gives me the answer, and I'm like, let's rephrase this question. I know that was the answer, but that's not the answer I wanted. So I just surrendered the struggle. It's okay, I'll do what's next. And here we are. And I think we're in a time, I think we're in a transitional point as our community, that we get to be more. And because we are more, we can give more. We can serve more. We can empower others to know the truth for themselves. And for me, I'm truly grateful for that experience when I remember. So we're going to look at the courage to prosper. I know some of you are thinking, well, they're just trying to get my money. Yes, we are. Not all your money, just some. Because here's the truth. It takes money to run this place. Now, and I don't have the option of getting into hell or having or any of those things to kind of throw over you. So it's just like, we're adults. It takes money to run the place. You have money. Tell us what you're going to give us. We can plan. Boom. Now that we have that out of the way, let's get on with what we're here to do. So I'm going to pray for us, and then I'm going to invite forward some amazing folks. In fact, I'm just going to end with this prayer again. I like this prayer. Hear these words, O great Creator. I prosper through you, drawing my abundance from your infinite stores. You know my needs, and you provide for them. You know my dreams, and you bring me their fulfillment. I rely on you as my source. You are the rock on which I build my life. I trust you to supply me with all things necessary to my happiness. You are my security. I run to you always. Guard and guide me. Amen. Let's sing, I Am So Blessed.
Sing with us, please.
Yes.
I can almost see it, that dream I'm dreaming. There's a voice inside my head saying, you'll never reach it. Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost without direction. My faith is shaken, but I gotta keep trying. Gotta keep my head held high. There's gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there. Ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. The struggles I'm facing, the chances I'm taking. sometimes might knock me down, but no, I'm not breaking. I may not know it, but these are moments that I'm going to remember most, yeah. Just gotta keep going, and I gotta be strong. Just gotta keep pushing on, because there's always gonna be another mountain. I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose, and it's gonna be an uphill battle. Ain't about how fast I get there, ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Yeah, it's the climb. Another mountain, I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I gotta have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there, ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Keep on moving, keep climbing, keep the faith, keep the faith. It's all about the climb. Keep on moving, keep climbing, keep the faith.
You're so wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. So please stand, join together for our prayer of protection, sing the peace song, and then invite you to join us for coffee or potluck after the service. We are blessed. Reverend Sally will be with us next week. Lawrence Tolliver will be sharing his musical gifts. So every Sunday, it's a rockin' thing together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Let's sing.